All right. Now, in the previous lesson, we vaguely looked at the male reproductive system, right? So, in this lesson, I want us to go into detail and look at what really is the male reproductive system. Just like with any other system, there are organs involved, there are secretion, there might be some secretions involved, and so forth and so forth, right? Good. So besides the hard job that men have of just being men and having to work for a living, men also have to produce gametes. And what are gametes? Gametes are basically your sex cells, your haploid sex cells. The male gametes are called sperm, right? And they're made and matured in this part over here in which we call the male reproductive system. But particularly, where are the gametes made? Inside what we call the testes. Right? Please refrain from calling them balls. In an exam, we will not mark them if they are known as, if we write them as balls. There's many different types of balls, your soccer, tennis, but that is not it. These are the testes, right? Good. And the testes are held inside a sac of skin known as the scrotum. Yeah? And then basically, what is the function of the scrotum? The function of your scrotum is basically temperature regulation. Temperature control or regulation for the testes, right? It needs to basically the testes. When we speak of the testes, now we speak of the temperature of the sperm subsequently. So it needs to be 2 degrees Celsius lower than the body temperature, lower than body temperature. So how does the scrotum, this sac of skin, shriveled sac of skin, might I add, accomplish such a complex task? For boys, they would know if they jump into uh, a pool, a very cold pool, right? What happens to the scrotum? The scrotum basically contracts, yeah? And when it contracts, it almost looks like it becomes smaller. Yeah? And what does it do in the contraction process? It's moving basically the testes closer to the body because it's cold. Yeah? It needs to maintain a sense of temperature. That is a form of homeostasis. If you look at it, yeah? Good. And then what also happened? Now, if it's on a hot day, then the scrotum just relaxes. It looks bored, right? That is basically moving. When it looks bored or it relaxes, basically, it moves the testicles away, slightly away from the body. And then what happens? Now, it basically for them to be cooler. So that is basically how it controls the temperature of your testes. Good. Now, moving on, coming back to the testes. Now, the testes is the hub of spermatogenesis in male. What is spermatogenesis? Spermatogenesis is basically it's a spermatogenesis, right? That is sperm production. The production of sperm in males, right? Good. Well, it's not like any other gender will produce sperm, but anyway, right? Let's go on to another function of the testes is basically the production of the male sex hormone testosterone. Testosterone. So the production of testosterone happens inside the testes. But where is sperm made? In the testes? And where's testosterone made in the testes? Let's dive in just a tad bit deeper. Now, inside your testes, right? You will have these other tubules. They will look like something like this. Highly convoluted, meaning folded inside your testes. These will be known as your semi-nephrons. seminiferous tubules. Now, the highly convoluted tubules inside your testes, that's where your testes are made. No, not your testes, man. Your sperm are made. So let's give a cross section of these seminiferous tubules. A cross section meaning if you were to cut it and see what is on the inside. So let's say I'll just draw three of them for the sake of it. So these are three seminiferous tubules, and there's a reason why I'm drawing three, which will come apparent later on. So if I have a cross section on the walls of the seminiferous tubule, remember this whole thing is seminiferous tubule, right? The walls of the seminiferous tubules are basically lined with these other special cells. Okay, I'll be quick about it. My drawing is not the best, but it gets the job done. Right? Here's the nuclei of these cells. Good. So these cells are known as the germinal epithelium cells. These are the germinal epithelial cells. They are found on the walls of the seminiferous tubules. Now, what is the job of the germinal epithelium? So, germinal coming from the word to germinate. What are we germinating? To produce. Ne? To germinate is to produce. They produce spermatids. What are spermatids? Immature, or you can say immature sperm. They're immature sperm. Good. Now, after this immature sperm is now produced, it needs to mature, right? And how does it mature? It needs to be fed some nutrients in order for it to mature. So there are cells right next to these other elongated cells. I'll draw them like this. These other elongated cells these ones are known as the cells of Sertoli. The cells of Sertoli. Cells of Sertoli. Good. Now, the cells of Sertoli also have an important function. They produce and provide nutrients for the spermatids, for sperm to mature. So that's when the maturation starts taking place, right? So for the sperm to mature, they need what? They need the cells of Sertoli to produce nutrients for them. So after this basically let's do this. After your germinating or your germ cells produce your spermatids. So these are spermatids. So let's say spermatids. Here are your spermatids. Spermatids. Notice that they're immature. Yes, they don't even have a tail at this point. They cannot swim. Yeah? So basically, the spermatids get nutrients from the cells of Sertoli, and then they mature into mature sperm. Although these sperms still need further maturation in the epididymis, which we'll get to later. So right inside, in the lumen, that's basically where you find mature sperm. In the lumen, in the space, right in the middle of the seminiferous tubules. That's where you find your mature sperm, right? Ready to be pumped out via peristalsis into your epididymis for further maturation. Now, we're not done yet. In between the seminiferous tubules is a connective tissue, right? In between the seminiferous tubules is a connective tissue. And that connective tissue has very important cells in it. These cells are known as the cells of Leydig. The cells of Leydig. Sounds like a place in Northwest Province, this one. Leydig. It's a village. Now, the cells of Leydig, they basically are the ones that produce testosterone. During puberty, your brain now triggers these cells of Leydig to start producing testosterone. Why? Testosterone will trigger what? Spermatogenesis, number one, which is the production of these sperms from the germinal cells, germinal epithelial cells. Your germ cells produce your spermatids. Why does that happen? Because of testosterone. This testosterone will also trigger in your body the uh, the start of you developing those secondary sexual characteristics that we discussed in the previous lesson. So testosterone is very important. Without testosterone, all of this that we discussed over here will not happen at all. Ne? Testosterone first needs to be produced, and then it will stimulate the production of sperm cells. Ne? Great. Now that we've kind of looked at where sperm is produced, now let's follow the path of the sperm now. After it's produced, where does it further mature, and up until we get to ejaculation, basically. Great. Now, this part over here, there's another large, highly convoluted tubule over the top of your testes, which is known as the scrotum. Not the scrotum, which is known as the epididymis. Epididymis. The epididymis, that is basically where sperm matures and is temporarily stored. That's where it matures. I believe since it doesn't know how to swim yet, it matures in the epididymis. Basically, that's where it gets taught how to swim. Basically, backstroke, butterfly, freestyle, honor. Those boys must get out of there knowing how to swim properly, right? They must come out of there looking like Michael Phelps. Yeah? Great. So sperm is matured and temporarily stored in the epididymis. That's the function of your epididymis. It's created where? Inside the testes. The testes, just like the ovaries, is also known as the gonads. That's basically, they are known as the gonads. Gonads are basically your organs that produce gametes. Yeah? So if they ever ask you organs that are responsible for producing gametes, those are known as gonads. Examples is your testes, and in females is the ovaries. Yeah? Good. Right, let's move on. Now, after the epididymis, there's a tube that connects the epididymis to the ejaculatory duct, as well as other parts of the reproductive system of males. Now, this tube is known as the vas deferens. The vas deferens. The vas deferens basically connects your epididymis to the different parts of the male reproductive system, and ultimately to the urethra. That is this tube over here, urethra. Good. Now, during that time, sperm, when it leaves the epididymis, sperm is not ready yet. No, sir. Now, where does it pass? First and foremost, what do we see? Okay, let's first label this yellow organ over here. That is the bladder. It has nothing to do with the reproductive system. Right. Let's look at this other parts. Now, these ones over here, there's a pair of vesicles over here, right behind the bladder. Those are known as seminal vesicles. Now, the seminal vesicles, their job is very important. They will produce an alkaline fluid. So they produce an alkaline fluid. Now, what is the function of this alkaline fluid? Remember, the vagina has got an acidic environment, so that acidic mucus. Ne? So that acidic environment might actually kill sperm. So to protect themselves, the seminal vesicles say, "Yo, guys, you need protection where you're going. Here's some alkaline fluid." Well, what will that alkaline fluid do? Neutralize this acidic environment of the female vagina. So, hey, this other gender, scientifically speaking, that environment is toxic for the other gender, right? Great. Now, let's move on. Now, there's this bean-shaped gland over here called the prostate gland. Prostate gland. Now, the prostate gland, I'm pretty sure it's not the first time you heard of it. The prostate gland basically produces nutrient-rich fluid that provides energy. So it will produce that nutrient-rich fluid. That nutrient-rich fluid basically will provide energy. Will provide energy for the cell. It is there to provide energy. Great. And then the other gland that is involved in basically producing substances for the sperm is basically your Cooper's gland. Cooper's gland. Now, Cooper's gland it is also important in such that it produces a mucus which helps with the movement of sperm. So it produces that mucus. Because this mucus basically provides lubrication for sperm when they are swimming. They need they need a smooth surface, a well lubricated surface for them to swim. All those butterfly freestyle breaststrokes, they must swim. So Cooper's gland basically says, here's some lubricant, gents. Let's go. Now, all of this, your from the seminal vesicles, your alkaline fluid. That alkaline fluid plus on the prostate gland nutrients and energy plus the mucus from the Cooper's gland plus sperm cells. All of this leads to what we call the semen. Yeah? That is what we call semen. Yeah? A combination of all of this. Now, once semen is ready to come out, basically during ejaculation, it will basically move through the urethra and gets ejaculated out. Right? Good. And it is possible because the penis will be inside the vagina after it gets an erection. This is the penis. Notice one thing: the penis is not really that important in the whole process of gametogenesis and maturation of the gametes for males. The penis is not there. The penis is just there to erect and be placed into the vagina. That's all. It's merely just a pathway. So it's not that important. You're still a man, even without one. I'm kidding you. So, in a nutshell, what have we learned? We learned that the testes produce your what? The testes is this bean-shaped uh, organs or gonads, basically that produce your sperm cells during spermatogenesis, and they produce testosterone. Now, where do they produce your testosterone? By the cells of Leydig, and then inside the seminiferous tubules, that's where you find the germinal epithelial cells, which basically produce your spermatids. The spermatids will therefore mature with the help of nutrients from the cells of Sertoli, and then they'll mature into sperms, and then they'll move into the epididymis. The epididymis is connected to other to the urethra and other parts such as the seminal vesicles via the vas deferens, which is this tube over here. Seminal vesicles further secrete alkaline fluid to basically neutralize the acidic environment in the vagina that might kill your sperm. Then prostate gland produces nutrient-rich fluid that contains energy because those mitochondria inside sperm will be working over time. Remember, sperm contains a whole lot of mitochondria for that energy to be produced. Then Cooper's gland produces mucus for lubrication, and then all of that equals your semen. Right, that is the end of the male reproductive system. I'm pretty sure now we have covered it all.